my thoughts on the Ravens is with Derrick Henry. There's so many times where the expectation level is set so high on a free agent, and by and large, free agents don't meet that expectation. With Derrick Henry, we're seeing him play like absolute prime Derrick Henry. And all the questions about, okay, they're primarily a pistol shotgun team. How's that going to work for a guy who's used to having a head of steam hitting the line? The answer is it's worked great. It looks fantastic right now. They still need a botched hold to win that game. But as Joe Burrow said, afterwards, they're not a championship caliber team right now. The Bengals are not playing consistently at the level that they need to when it comes down the stretch. I mean, that's a very talented, at least on offense, Bengals team right now that is 1-4. They're beat up on defense. They just lost Dax Hill now to a season-ending injury. Their defensive tackles have all been out. They've been extremely banged up on that side of the football. But you're right, they can't get off the field. When it comes to the Bills and that late game situation, I thought that was kind of a microcosm of a trend that we're seeing, which is that teams are being more aggressive in those situations than maybe ever before. We've seen Kevin O'Connell doing it with the Vikings too, where late in games, keep throwing. That's your best weapon. In their case, it's Sam Darnold throwing to Justin Jefferson. In the Bills' case, we got one of the best players on the planet in Josh Allen. Let him try to finish off the game. Now, having said that, you certainly can look and go, maybe you could throw a more high percentage pass. I don't know that running a deep fade one-on-one on the sideline to Keon Coleman is necessarily the highest percentage type of play that you have. But I don't sit back and say that this is necessarily the wrong approach. It's definitely an aggressive approach. But, your best case scenario is, all right, you get, if you run the ball 3 times, unless you break one and get a first down, you're still playing for overtime. They're thinking, we might be able to play for a long field goal and win this game in regulation. But you're right. There's a certain coterie of people who think that the Bills are perpetually teetering on the brink of falling apart. We haven't seen it yet. They didn't finish that game off. And back to your original point, Rich, with the Texans, they have looked really good. They've finished off these games. I was at the one game they didn't win this season, and it's when those Vikings absolutely took it to them. And that was not close. That was a bad game. That was total domination by the Vikings. So maybe the best case for the Vikings being the dominant team in the league, besides the fact that they're 5-0, is that they beat one of the other teams that looks really good. And, probably planted some seeds in the back of Jets fans' heads early yesterday morning about whether or not they're going to be able to pull out of what they've had going these last couple of weeks with or without, I don't know, a 7-time Pro Bowl receiver who potentially could be headed to New York.
Well, before we break, on the other side of that, I want to talk about the Jets and Vikings game through the prism of Davante Adams. So far, the running back debate that we had all off season. I'm a table pounder of the first variety, as you know, that running backs deserve to get paid because they're the ones who are always leaned on in a big moment, in a big game, to get a first down, to get something done, to balance an offense, to close a game out, to flip a field. And there's a little bit of something in there for everyone in the first 5 weeks. And by that, I mean, you take a look at the top 5 rushers in the NFL right now. 3 of them are the 3 free agents. Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, who's even in the top 5 having a week off, and also Josh Jacobs. And the other 2 are people that you could, say, listen, you don't need to be paying someone very highly to be a difference maker from the spot. Jordan Mason and Chuba Hubbard are the others in the top 5. I'm just going to say it's still too soon to make a case for either one or the other as having won the argument. But right now, ask the Baltimore Ravens what a difference maker Derrick Henry is making on this team right now and how more one-dimensional they might be waiting for Keaton Mitchell to get back healthy with Justice Hill, or maybe Gus Edwards might still be on the team if they had made that decision, and how different they would be in digging out of an 0-2 hole right now instead of being 3-2. What about when the Eagles come back with Saquon? And obviously, Josh Jacobs helped the fact that the Packers are now 3-2, despite Jordan Love being 0-2. So prior to now 1-2. It's just something to keep an eye on right now. And it's fascinating that somebody's going to be 31 as the most dominant guy in the league at the position. And I think that I'm going to be proven correct by the end of the day.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku Channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.